Mary had a little lamb.
The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Help is on the way.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
Hey! It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
Breaking news out of Israel. A senior Arab official with direct knowledge of negotiations confirms to NBC's Richard Engel that a truce extension will happen. Let's bring in NBC News foreign correspondent Raf Sanchez back with us in Tel Aviv. Raf, what are we learning about the finalization of some kind of deal?
So, Anna, we've known for days that both sides were talking about this as a possibility. We heard President Biden yesterday expressing optimism that it would happen. Hamas saying they were open to it. The Israelis saying they were open to it. And now this senior Arab official with direct knowledge of the talks says a tentative agreement has been reached to extend this 4-day ceasefire under that pre-agreed formula. So that is one additional day of ceasefire in exchange for 10 additional hostages. As of now, the ceasefire was supposed to end going into tomorrow, so it does appear like we are looking like at least Tuesday will be another day of quiet inside Gaza, assuming that this agreement is finalized and assuming that nobody breaks the ceasefire, which so far has not happened. This ceasefire has been strained, but it has not broken.
Okay. All right, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving. I hope you had a good one. They paused the war for us. So we wouldn't have to deal with, catching up with carnage, which is a good thing because there's a lot to catch up on. But thank God we don't have to catch up on, who killed who. Unless you're looking at Ukraine, and then you're going to have to start counting dead people again. But honestly, I don't understand why people are just, so... I don't know. They've chosen sides in this country. It's very interesting. It really it's gotten my goat is what it is. But it looks like 11 more hostages are headed into Israeli territory right now. So that's another day of a pause. That's good. Hopefully everybody gets used to pausing. Hopefully everybody gets used to no war. That would be good. That would be great. It's not going to happen, but I have to say it would be good. Be really good. So 11 hostages are currently on their way to Israeli territory. So here's the numbers if you're interested. 58 have been released by Hamas, and Israel has released 117 hostages. Well, they're not they're prisoners. And, the amount of hatred in this country, which isn't a party in this war, it's just... Wow, we don't even have to be in a war anymore in order for Americans to choose sides in a war. But if there's a war that they were paying attention to that is somehow usurped by or surpassed by another war, then the first war doesn't exist anymore and you move straight on to the second war and you choose sides in that one. Because that seems to be the way the American mind works. It really does. Because, everybody's screaming about occupation. Well, if you want to talk about the West Bank, I'm your girl. I'll talk about, occupation all day long in the West Bank because what's being done in the West Bank is disgusting. But Gaza, it's a terrorist organization is what it is. Hamas is, and they're in charge of the Gaza enclave, as they now call it, as if it's like, a subdivision. Of a greater, development. I don't know what else to say. I don't know why these terms have been selected as the terms that are, go-to terms now. But that's the term. The enclave of Gaza is controlled by, a terrorist group. Israel is led by a racist, extremist, government. No question. But people have chosen sides now. They just have, and it's very bizarre, is what it is. But we're not involved in this war, except to say that the president of the United States is a good one in that he actually is trying to use the pause in carnage as an opportunity to surge UN humanitarian aid into the enclave. And so we're seeing about 200 humanitarian trucks a day, every day, since this pause has happened, into the enclave, into Gaza, which is good because it's food, it's water, it's medicine, it's anesthesia, for God's sake. It's things that, people cannot possibly exist without in a modern society. And he's also, Biden is, trying to make this into a lasting ceasefire. He's trying to convince everybody that you might not miss the carnage so much. You might not miss it. You might actually get used to no death. It might become a way of life for you. It could be good. Try it. You might like it. You know what I'm saying? So it's really interesting. But meanwhile, back here in the United States, where we're not a party to this war, where we're not fighting, where we don't have boots on the ground, where we don't have, anything going on except for a desire to send money to both sides for humanitarian relief, right? To send money to both sides so that, Gaza can actually, after Hamas is, dismantled. I have no idea. Like what replaces it? That's always the problem. It's always the problem with terrorist governments, like what comes behind it. But, the idea that people in this country are so full of hatred for one side or another that they are actually attacking one side or the other. The amount of stuff I saw going on during this, festive time of year, where for the first time, I think people actually did legitimately say, do you have a problem living on colonized land? I think maybe they did for the first time this Thanksgiving have a little question in their mind about whether or not that was a good thing or a bad thing. I guess everybody decided it wasn't a thing because everybody ate, everybody, ate dessert, everybody, drank, everybody slept on the couch, everybody watched football. So I guess we're all okay with it. I guess we've made our, let's say, peace with it. But, I think for the first time, people actually asked themselves the question about, who got the short end of the stick in that particular arrangement. But the people in this country who are so full of hatred and grievance and longing to do bad things to other people have taken from this conflict, ballast, direction. What do you want to call it? So we had three Palestinian students who are all attending university in Vermont, in Burlington, Vermont. Vermont, you don't think of Vermont as being a gun-toting, kind of a hateful place. Although everybody there, I'm sure, is armed. It's a, place where they farm and they hunt. But three Palestinian kids, they were 20 years old, all three of them, who their grandparent, one of the students, his grandma lived in Burlington for years and years, and they went over to her house, and apparently it was by an apartment building where a 48-year-old white man lived and had many weapons, and he saw these three kids, and he just decided to bolt out of his apartment building, not say a word, and just shoot all three of them. Which is what he did. Now, three of them were hospitalized. One is in serious condition. I think that he took a bullet to his spine. They were just walking and talking and speaking in Arabic because they are from the West Bank. They went to school in Ramallah, which is part of the West Bank. And then they were exceptional students. You have to be, because one of the kids was attending Brown University, which is an Ivy League school. And the other two were also university students, and they all knew each other from the West Bank. And so they were going to one guy's grandma's house, and they got shot just for walking. Just for walking is kind of interesting. And then, of course, you have, somebody who just decided to spray paint swastikas and go to the home of the head lobbyist for AIPAC, the American Israeli Political Action Committee, which I've always said needed to be registered as a foreign lobbyist, representing a foreign nation. And for some reason, AIPAC is not registered as a representing a foreign government. I always believed it should be. That's just my position on AIPAC. But someone went over there, a whole bunch of people, they went over there and they spray painted swastikas. They wrote baby killer on the lobbyist's house. And then they put, white shrouds in his driveway. And, decided that they would do hate crimes on his home. Smarten up, everybody.
All things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
Hey.
Emily Hand is a closure for me because unfortunately I'm the one who told her father that she has been found murdered. And a week later, I'm the one who told the father that she probably captured. So it's a kind of a relief for me that she's still alive, she's here, she's with us, and I have to tell his father to give him a hug and say I'm sorry again. So for me, it's a closure.
I mean, that is just a traumatic story from beginning to end. You know, that's the story of Emily Hand. Her father, Tom, we met her father, Tom, in a previous, portion of this freaking war, because Tom Hand was told, and apparently his friend there is the person that said, oh, thank God, she's here because now I have closure because I'm the one who told Tom that his daughter had been killed. And remember, Tom Hand had this very unique reaction to it, where the thought of his 8-year-old, who kidnaps an 8-year-old? The thought of his 8-year-old being taken by a terrorist organization and brought into Gaza and put into a tunnel was so horrible for him to process in his mind, that his reaction to hearing that she was dead was yes. Remember that? And it turned out that she was not killed. She was, indeed being held hostage in a tunnel by a terrorist group. But she was one of the kids that was released over the Thanksgiving holiday. For us, it was Thanksgiving. It's not Thanksgiving in Gaza, in the Enclave. It's not Thanksgiving there. And it's not Thanksgiving in Israel. It's not Thanksgiving in Crimea or Russia either. Just saying. But so she was returned to her dad, so that was good. And then this is a 3-year-old girl who was taken after. This is an unbelievable story, and it's so horrible. It's so horrible because I don't know how people could ever be okay knowing that this is the way their young life started. But this is the story of a 3-year-old named Abigail. Okay, and Abigail was, her parents were killed in front of her at 3 years old. And she literally toddled off to the neighbor's house after her parents were slaughtered in front of her. And then the neighbors were also killed. And then Hamas took her hostage. I mean, this is a sick thing. This is really crazy.
This is the third night in a row in which we have seen Israeli hostages emerging from Gaza, and in exchange, Israel releasing Palestinian prisoners in Jerusalem and the occupied West Bank. But, Alex, tonight, the choreography was different. Most of those hostages, 13 of them, rather than going south through the Rafah crossing into Egypt, which is what we've seen over the last 2 nights, they were instead handed over to the Red Cross in northern Gaza, closer to Gaza City, and they went straight over the border into Israel. From there, one of those hostages, an elderly woman, was flown directly to hospital. She appears to be in serious medical condition. We don't have the details right now. The other 12 hostages continued on to an air base. Now, among those was this little 4-year-old Israeli-American girl, Abigail Idan. And, Alex, it is worth just pausing for a moment on her story, not just because she's an American, but because of what this little child has been through. Both of her parents were murdered in the kibbutz Kfar Aza on the morning of October 7th. Her older siblings hid elsewhere in the house, and this little 4-year-old walked away from her parents' bodies. She toddled over to a neighbor's house. She hid with them, only for that family to be kidnapped. And she has been held in Gaza for these 7 weeks. Officials here in Israel and in the United States working to bring her home. She is now safely back inside of Israel. But, Alex, sometime tonight or in the coming days, someone is going to have to explain to this little girl that both of her parents are dead, that she's an orphan, and she has a very, very long road ahead of her to recover from what's gone on these last couple of weeks.
Oh, God. 4 years old, and her parents were killed in front of her freaking face. And she walks away from her dead parents' body and goes to the neighbor's house, and they're killed. And then she's captured and taken and held in a tunnel for 50 days. For 50 days. Does everybody think she'll be fine? I think she'll be fine. Oh, my God. It's unbelievable. So President Biden was like, working all through this holiday. All through the holiday weekend, on the phone. I don't know if anybody was paying attention to it. I hope you weren't. I really do. I hope you gave yourself, a little respite from this. I hope you gave yourself some space to breathe and, some catch-up time with your family and your friends and, ate a lot and ate everything. I hope that's the way your holiday went. But I was watching this, obviously, and there was a big, pause in the pause. Nobody understood, whether it could go forward, and nobody understood. I mean, there was all kinds of accusations from one side to the other. And President Biden was literally on the phone the whole entire time, brokering the release of especially this little 4-year-old girl. She turned 4 in captivity. She had her birthday with terrorists. And so he was on the phone trying to get her out of there, but he was also on the phone trying to get aid into the Palestinian territory, into, Gaza. I mean, it's an amazing thing. And meanwhile, Americans are choosing sides as if one side is right and one side is wrong. I mean, that's bizarre. Because if both sides are right in their weird way, and they are, then you should actually understand that the problem is not with the people. Which is what I've said all along. The problem is with these governments. The problem is with a right-wing, lunatic, extremist government in one place, and in the other place, a terrorist government. Literally, a government made up of terrorists. If you left it to the people, like in southern Israel, the people there, the people who live in the farming communities of the kibbutz, the people who live in these communal communities, they would be fine. They would be fine with their neighbors. They would not have an issue with their neighbors. They would not. But of course, it's no good. It's no good. You have to have, people killing here over things they really don't understand happening over there. You have to have that, you see, or else we would not be wholly and completely America. We would be, I don't know, a peaceful version or a sane version or a smartened version or an enlightened version or a well-read version of America. And we can't have that. We can't have anybody understanding how these, two places, could live peacefully side by side. We can't have anybody, seeing their way to accuse the terrorist organization of being a terrorist organization or the right-wing extremist racist government of being a right-wing racist extreme government. Couldn't have that, because then you would have no excuse to kill people, ordinary people like students who are brilliant and came over here to finish their education.
Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
This morning, police in Burlington, Vermont have arrested a suspect in the shooting of 3 20-year-old university students visiting for Thanksgiving.
I respond to 69 North Prospect Street for a male with a gunshot wound to the chest. There's possibly 2 males with a gunshot wound.
The Arab American Anti-Discrimination Committee said we have reason to believe this shooting occurred because the victims are Arab. They're Palestinian and were wearing traditional scarves while out walking when the suspect, described as a white man with a beard, approached and fired before running off without a word. The aftermath of the violence seen in this new video as paramedics rushed to the scene. Authorities say evidence at the scene of the shooting led them to arrest 48-year-old Jason Eaton. There's no information pointing to a motive, but Burlington police said in this charged moment, no one can look at this incident and not suspect that it may have been a hate-motivated crime. Hisham Arwatani goes to Brown, Keenan Abdelhamid Haverford, and Tashin Ali Ahmed is a student at Trinity. All 3 graduated from the Ramallah Friends School in the West Bank. Their families called them dedicated students and said, "We are devastated by the horrific news that our children were targeted and shot. They asked police to treat this as a hate crime.
I mean, can you imagine? Can you imagine? Okay, so you're in the West Bank. This is where you live, and the West Bank is it could be very, 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 very iffy if you're a Palestinian in the West Bank and some right-wing extremist settler. Okay, think of them like that what was the name of that family that they took over the grazing land, and they were sitting there with their guns like that. Okay, so think of it like that, and so and they send their kids to America because here they'll be educated and here they'll be safe, and they get shot here. They get shot here for being Palestinian instead of getting shot in the West Bank for being Palestinian. Oh my God. That is so obscene. That is really, really ugly. That is a terrible story. And this man is 48 years old. Okay, he didn't say a word. He just walked out of his building. He just silently shot all three of them, and then went back into his apartment and sat there and waited for the police to come. And when the police came, he said, "I was waiting for you. I want a lawyer." What? And so he then was arraigned today where, he entered his plea of not guilty. How do you plead not guilty when everybody saw what he did? I don't even understand it. But I mean, picking sides, choosing sides, that's what America is doing now. So you have lunatics in Vermont who are trying to kill young Muslim, students who are attending wonderful schools in Burlington. And then you have the anti-Semitism on college campuses on the other side of it.
We have seen an alarming spike in anti-Semitism, hate against Jews across the United States, but particularly on college campuses. You also sit on the Senate committee that deals with education. What's gone so wrong on America's college campuses that you have students openly applauding the terrorist killings of 1,200 or more civilians?
Yeah, listen, I'm all for free speech on our campuses, but I've been very disappointed at the response of many of our university officials. There's a direct line between some of the most vicious anti-Semitism speech happening on our campus and threats of violence to synagogues and to Jewish communities. I ultimately, think we need to sort of think really hard about the way in which our young people are receiving information about this conflict. We need to hold accountable the social media sites, in particular TikTok, which is just full of virulent pro-Hamas and anti-Semitic material. The college campuses need to have a better means of accountability for this kind of hate speech. But we also have to recognize that these young people are getting their information from somewhere, often from a Chinese-controlled social media platform that has in its interest trying to turn America against each other. And one of the means they may be doing that is trying to promote a lot of pretty hateful and divisive material about the conflict in Gaza.
Yeah, disinformation, misinformation, stuff to confuse people, stuff to, make people believe a thing that's not true, stuff that, they just keep on feeding into the frenzy. Because a divided America, it's good for our enemies. It's just wonderful. Everybody is very interested in dividing us even further than we already have been divided by a pasty orange man who is a fraud and a schemer and a liar and a douche. And now all of a sudden we have to, deal. I just, honestly, I guess the Russia-Crimea thing, we were so clear about that because it was two white people countries, right? And one invaded the other, and one was obviously an aggressor. And everybody was very clear that Russia was the bad guy here, except for, the Republicans in Congress like Ron Johnson, who's pro-Russia. Don't ask me why. But now, this one, because so few people understand the Middle East at all, so few people can even find the Middle East on a map, the whole Middle East I'm talking about. I'm not even saying, find Iran, now find Iraq, find Lebanon, now find Israel, now find, I think they sort of confined Egypt. Maybe because it's, North Africa. I don't even know how many people know that Egypt is North Africa. I don't know. But this one has got people acting like they're crazy. They're crazed with hatred for one side or the other. I don't know if you saw this over the holiday. There is this guy. His name is Stuart Seldowitz. Have you seen him, Brett? Have you seen Stuart Seldowitz? Do you know who I'm talking about?
No, I do not.
Oh, my God. Okay, so this was one of those viral things on social media. Stuart Seldowitz is a lobbyist for the Gotham. It's called the Gotham Government Relations. Well, he just got fired. But he was working for this company called Gotham Public Relations, and it was government relations. Whenever you hear government relations, it's a lobby shop. Whenever you hear association, like National Association of Manufacturers, it's a lobby shop, okay? So this guy was working for this lobby shop after being, for, 5 or 6 presidents, he worked in the State Department. And his area of influence and expertise, and this is saying like everything about everyone in this country. His area of expertise was the Israeli-Palestinian territories. So here's a guy who's supposed to be hyper-focused on solving that problem. Turns out he's a racist, okay? So how in the world are you going to get people in this country to understand the Israeli-Palestinian issues if this man, who is a State Department employee for 6 different presidents, has chosen a side? See, this is why my expectations for America is way too high. Way too high. I expect excellence from our listeners. And, when you don't get it, oh, well. It's me that gets disappointed. You're fine. You're fine with it. But this guy, Stuart Seldowitz, who was an advisor to, I can't tell you how many presidents, from 99 to 2003, and then he went to the private life, and then he went back into government, I guess. I don't know. This man lives in New York, lives in Manhattan, for God's sake, on the Upper East Side. And the crap that he does to this 24-year-old young man who runs a halal cart. You know what a halal cart is? It's like the Muslim version of kosher.
Clear for takeoff. Randi Rhodes. RandiRhodes.com.
The GDP is out. I want to get right now to Jerry Willis and get that breaking news. Jerry.
Yeah, Maria, that's right. We've got GDP at 4.9%. That is.
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
Okay, so I'm going to play you Mr. Seldowitz. This is Stuart Seldowitz. Now, on the internet, they are falsely equating him with being a Obama White House aide. Okay, this man served in the State Department's Office of Israel and Palestinian Affairs from 1999 to 2003. Okay, so right there, the internet is, bullcrapping you. But okay, he is vile. He is one of the most disgusting human beings. And if you want to know, why is there anti-Semitism in this world, it would be because of guys like Stuart Seldowitz.
We killed 4,000 Palestinian kids. You know what? It wasn't enough. It wasn't enough.
Go.
It's not my fault that you pray to a criminal.
Listen, I'm working now. Do I buy something?
No.
Okay, go.
I don't want to go.
I'm born here.
But you're a terrorist. You support terrorism.
Listen, go.
Okay, so he's actually holding up two buttons, and one has an Israeli flag on it.
Did you rape your daughter like Muhammad did? Did you rape your daughter like Muhammad?
I speak English.
You only speak English?
No English, no.
You don't speak English?
Yes.
All right, well, that just shows how ignorant you are. Because, Muhammad was a rapist. You speak Arabic?
Good Lord, man.
The language of the Quran? The Holy Quran? That some people use as a toilet? What do you think of that? People who use the Quran as a toilet? Does it bother you? Does it bother you? Tell me the truth.
I don't speak English.
You don't speak English? That's too bad. That's why you're selling food in a food cart. Because you're ignorant. But you should learn English. It'll help you.
Of course.
When they deport you back to Egypt.
I mean, I just want you to know that that is one of many, many videos of Stuart Seldowitz literally trying to troll and the kid who's in the cart, the kid who's in the truck, he's 24 years old. He's a 24-year-old kid. He's adorable, actually. I showed him to Jessica. She said, oh, my God, he's so cute. He is. He's an adorable kid. He's 24 years old. He's trying to make a living by, making halal dishes and selling it. I don't know if you know about the halal trucks in New York, but the food is delicious. And it's sort of the Islamic version of kosher, okay? And that's all it is. And, he makes delicious food and he sells it, out of the truck. Now, the trucks are owned by, a group of guys. And then these kids, they man the trucks. They work the trucks to make some money. And this Stuart Seldowitz guy, he is so trolly. He constantly is going to this food truck. And thank God this kid is videoing him. As this man is calling the kid ignorant, the kid is smart enough to video record everything. Everything.
To my friends in immigration.
Really? Okay, go, yeah.
And to the Egyptian, the Mukhabarat wants your picture.
Okay, yalla, go.
Yeah? You know the Mukhabarat? The Mukhabarat.
No, I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't speak English.
No?
Yeah, go,
The
yalla.
Mukhabarat in Egypt will get your parents.
Go.
Does your
yeah.
father like his fingernails? They'll take them out one by one.
يلا روح من هنا يلا go
Well, why should I go? Why should I go? Tell me why I should go. I'm standing here. I'm an American. I have free. It's a free country. It's not like Egypt. Yeah, smile for me.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Did you rape your daughter like Muhammad did?
Oh, my God.
Did you rape your daughter like Muhammad?
I don't speak English.
You only speak English?
No English, no.
You don't speak English?
Yes.
All right. Well, that just shows how ignorant you are. Because Muhammad was a rapist.
Okay, and then there's this one here.
What?
Go.
No. Muhammad was a child molester.
Go.
It says in the Hadith. You read the Hadith?
Go.
Do you read the Hadith?
I'm gonna call the police. Go.
How old was Aisha?
I'm gonna call the police. Go.
It's not your business. Go.
No, I'm asking you.
Go.
She was 6. And then he tried to have sex with her when she was 9. And her hair fell out. It says that in your own holy book.
Go, please.
No. You go. You You.
What's your name?
What's my name?
Yeah.
Muhammad.
Your name Muhammad?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay, go.
What's your name?
It's not your business. Go.
No, what's your name?
It's not your business.
You asked me. Now I gave you my answer. You give me your answer.
It's not your name.
What?
That's
Are you here legally?
Go.
Why should I go? It's a free country. It's not Egypt here.
Okay, I'm gonna call the police. Go.
Yay! Somebody actually cares.
You're harassing me.
It's not right. You're harassing him. Finally, a bystander actually notices. And the only way that I know it's a different day is because his outfits are different. Otherwise, he sees this kid, stalks this kid every single day, says the same disgusting crap to him, denigrating, the Quran, denigrating his religion, saying he takes this kid's picture and says he's going to report him to the Egyptian authorities and they're going to get his parents and pull their fingernails out. Finally, he was arrested. Yay! Yay! Yeah, he was arrested for stalking with racist intent, okay? Finally. But what is going on in this country where you have to, write baby killer on somebody on a lobbyist house who lobbies, for the Israeli, government. And then if you are a lobbyist for the Israeli government, you have to go and find a 24-year-old truck driver who serves food on the Upper East Side, and you have to say that you're going to take his picture and turn him into the Egyptian. I don't know how America got this crazy. I mean, I know that we've always had 30% of the population being racist. That's something that I have always told you is a thing in America. But now with this particular Middle Eastern contretemps, with this craziness that's going on in the Middle East, this is the pure poison that everybody's been waiting for, to be injected straight to the brain. I'd say straight to the vein, but it's straight to the brain.
It's not just the xenophobia or the racism. He downgrades into classism, calling him ignorant because he's working at a food cart. So he's sideswiping like all of working class America as well. Anybody's watching this, he's disgusting.
No, what he said to him was, because the kid doesn't want to get involved in it. So the kid tells him, I don't speak English.
Oh, I know,
and so he's saying you should learn English. It'll help you. Oh, that's why you're, running a food cart, because you won't learn English.
And you're ignorant. He's called him
because
ignorant.
He won't learn English, not because, of any other thing. But, it's just so, it's so disgusting what's going on here in this country, having to do with a crisis over in the Middle East that most people couldn't find on a map. I don't know why, but this hatred of Jews it's a tonic for racists. I've never seen anything quite like it, where it emboldens everybody who's involved in it. It emboldens people to actually go and harass Jews, and it causes Jews to harass people that they feel are less than them. I mean, it's such but if anybody thinks that all they're practicing is, anti-Semitism or Islamophobia, you think, there is no reason for you to be clashing. You know why? If you look really close, they're all Middle Eastern, and everybody shares the same sort of ideas. And of course, a real racist can hate both. I'm telling you right now, this is so amazing to me. This is so dangerous to me. This is so ugly. This is so unbelievably, it's going to accelerate into violence in this country real fast. I think Joe Biden understands it, and I think that's why he's trying to make this pause. He's trying to make this into a lasting ceasefire. He is. He's trying to. So I'm watching even more hostages, going into the Israeli territory now. And as long as, Hamas. And what's really strange? Really, really strange. Hamas is struggling to produce 10 hostages a day, which is what they need to produce. Why are they struggling to produce 10? Because they don't know where they are. I swear to God. There were civilians in in Gaza. There were civilians that actually thought there would be money in taking hostages, so they took hostages. There is another group called Islamic Jihad. As you know, they're the ones whose errant missile bombed the hospital that started this whole, escalation into, straight to the brain hatred. And Islamic Jihad has hostages. Hamas has been living in their tunnel, and they only know where the hostages they took into the tunnel are. Now they had to do a ceasefire pause so that they could get out of their bunkers. They could come out of their tunnels, and they could go find more hostages to turn over, to produce some sort of a respite as everybody regroups.
Mary had a little man. The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Help is on the way.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
The former Minneapolis police officer convicted in the murder of George Floyd hospitalized after being stabbed at the Arizona prison where he's serving a more than 20-year sentence. A law enforcement source tells NBC News that Derek Chauvin was seriously injured from the attack, which happened at a medium-security federal correctional institution in Tucson. Chauvin was transferred there as part of a plea deal that allowed him to move out of a high-security state prison in Minnesota.
Find the defendant guilty.
In 2021, Chauvin was found guilty of murdering George Floyd after being recorded on video kneeling on Floyd's neck for about 9 minutes. In a statement, the Bureau of Prisons confirmed an assault happened around 12:30 p.m. local time Friday, but did not name Chauvin. The agency said employers performed life-saving measures before transferring the inmate to the hospital.
Is there a concern about security in prison for high-profile inmates? There is always a security concern for people who are famous or infamous, or police officers, law enforcement in prisons. Medium security does not mean medium safety.
The stabbing comes after Chauvin recently spoke out for a new documentary where he calls his trial a sham and says the knee restraint was a technique he learned in police training.
Excellent restraint technique, right in their written policy manual.
And no comment tonight from Chauvin's attorney. The Office for the Minnesota Attorney General says Chauvin is expected to survive.
Sad? I don't, it's like, is that sad? I don't. Well, you don't want to see violence. You don't want to see anybody, ever, serving their time in a violent situation. However, it is kind of ironic, I mean, it's one of those, crazy stories like, a couple of kids go to, a school in the West Bank where it's very, very dangerous, and then their parents think that they'll be safer going to college in the United States, especially in Vermont, which is a very green and peaceful place, right? So they send their little kids to the United States of America to attend Ivy League universities, which they have earned entry into by virtue of their studying hard and work ethic. And they go to Vermont, and then on Thanksgiving, they're shot. So here's Derek Chauvin, who was charged with, protecting and defending and serving the people, who killed a guy. And then he goes to a maximum security prison in Minnesota where he'll be safe. And then he enters into some sort of a plea deal. I don't know what he had to trade because he's been, convicted of federal hate crimes and state crimes and all that. So he trades something for something, I don't know what, and they send him to a medium security prison, which is, supposedly for his comfort, and he gets stabbed. And I'm supposed to feel bad for him, I think. I don't know. I guess my humanity says it's never good to see somebody be stabbed. I guess, the human nature of, a person in my position would be he didn't deserve to have what he did to somebody else happen to him, because that would be wrong and sad. But it did. It happened to him. And another person who's in the news over the holiday weekend, George Santos is probably spending his last few precious moments as a congressman this week. And then they are going to introduce the expulsion, the motion to expel him. And likely he will be expelled, but not before he goes all Madison Cawthorn on us. Now, you remember Madison Cawthorn, right? He was the 26-year-old guy from, North Carolina. He was the kid that was in a wheelchair, and a lot of people believe that he was a wounded veteran, and that is why Madison Cawthorn was in a wheelchair. But it turns out that Madison Cawthorn was in a drunk driving accident where he was the driver. And that's why he was in a wheelchair. Anyway, he was a real Trumper. He was a real, maggot. And got himself into, some deep doo-doo, and people already had it with him, even his own party, and they turned on him. And the same thing is happening with Santos, because George Santos is a guy who lied about everything, every single thing, including, and this is the most amazing thing. Like, who does this? Okay, this is one of those. Who lies about playing volleyball for a school you didn't attend? Like, how do you even come up with that lie? Do you know what I mean? Like how much of a committed liar do you have to be to lie about playing volleyball for a college you never attended, and then turn around and steal all of the money that people gave you in order to run for Congress and spend it on fans only? I mean, but that's what he did. And they showed that he had stolen all the money and that he refused to, acknowledge it, and never told the truth about who he was or what he did with his money or anything like that. And even the Republicans, after the ethics report came out about him and said not only is he a liar, but he steals too, and he really shouldn't be in Congress. So do you remember what Madison Cawthorn's, last bastion of defense was? He said, and this did not have the effect he had hoped it would have. Madison Cawthorn, when he realized he wasn't going to be returning to Congress by virtue of his own people not voting for him in his own district, said that there were orgies on Capitol Hill. and that the orgies were drug-fueled and that they were daily, like these, like Grassley can get it up or something. I don't know. But, I'm sorry. But that there were orgies every day and that they were drug-fueled, and he saw people doing coke and blow and all this stuff, and it was like real debauched behavior. Well, that's what Santos is doing too.
If this is George Santos' last week in Congress, he's not going quietly. In a live stream on social media over the weekend that went on for more than 3 hours, Santos held nothing back, lashing out against his colleagues and Congress as a whole. His weekend rant coming in the wake of that House Ethics Committee chairman filing a latest resolution to expel him after the committee found he had allegedly used campaign funds on everything from paying his rent and credit card bills to Botox, spa treatments, and OnlyFans. Now, in the live stream, Santos referred to himself as the Mary Magdalene of Congress among felons galore and suggested that the Ethics Committee should look around at members showing up drunk or hungover at votes instead. But he also said he had done the math on his expulsion vote over and over, and in his words, it doesn't really look good for him to survive this latest attempt at his removal. Hoda?
So, Garrett, when will this official vote take place?
It's hard to say for certain, but it could happen as early as tomorrow when the House comes back from Thanksgiving break. Now, over the break, we heard from a significant number of lawmakers who had backed Santos before, now saying they're prepared to vote against him after reading this report. But defiant till the end, Santos says he will wear his expulsion, which would only be the 6th in history if it happens, like a badge of honor.
Yeah, of course he will. They wear disgrace as if it were some sort of an honor, and they serve among some of the most despicable people. If what he and Madison Cawthorn are saying, and he serves with a bunch of debauched orgiasts, a bunch of people who mess around with everything but animals, and he wears their expulsion as a badge of honor. I mean, how low do you have to be expelled by them? How low do you have to be expelled by a bunch of debauched orgiasts who snort cocaine off of, prostitutes' asses? Seriously. But he was, I don't know if you know this, but hardly anybody does, X anymore. That social media website. Because it's so full, oh my God, it's so full of anti-Semitism and vitriol. You know what else happened today? Because Elon is so anti-Semitic on his own platform, the value of which has been cut in half because of what he does there and because of the hatred that sewer has become. He hosted Santos in a space. They call it a space. And they talk for hours and hours. And Santos was on there for 3 hours saying the report from the Ethics Committee was designed to smear me. It was designed to force me out of my seat. Force you out of your 71% of the Republicans in your district won't vote for you. Why?
All things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
The Anti-Defamation League's Center on Extremism documented 832 anti-Semitic incidents of assault, vandalism, and harassment in the U.S. in just 4 weeks following the attack. It comes out to an average of nearly 28 incidents per day and represents a 316% increase over the same period last year. You could just see it, in any city you live. Just here in New York City, anti-Semitic hate crimes surged 214% in the month of October. Across the country, we've seen synagogues and Jewish schools, Jewish centers, even a Jewish cemetery defaced, vandalized. People have torn down flyers bringing attention to the more than 220 hostages kidnapped by Hamas on October 7th. A lot of these incidents have taken place under cover of night or behind the relative anonymity of a screen. But yesterday, the wealthiest man in the world made one of the most shocking public pronouncements of anti-Semitism I've seen. And he did it on the platform that he owns. I'm speaking, of course, of Elon Musk, the founder of SpaceX and Tesla, who purchased Twitter last year, changed his name, and promptly managed to lose $25 billion on it.
God.
Musk brought his hard right views to the platform, where he elevated the most loathsome offensive bigots. He welcomed back outright and avowed neo-Nazis who'd been banned from the website. He's defended white supremacists, complained about racism against white people. He compared Jewish billionaire George Soros to a Jewish Marvel supervillain.
Oh, God.
With Elon Musk's attention and encouragement, those with the most despicable views have essentially taken over the platform now known as X.
I mean, so here you have Elon Musk, okay, from South Africa, who lived through apartheid, actually being a person who still practices racism, right? In his heart of hearts, he is ugly. He is racist. He is biased. He is extreme. And he has absolutely no bone. He makes no bones about putting his name on that crap. And so, you know, what did he say? He said, I can say whatever. When people said to him, you know, the kind of anti-Semitism that you're promoting is really getting dangerous, okay? And when you join in, it starts the snowball effect, meaning, well, if Elon is saying it, it must be true because, you know, he's got so much to lose. And Elon Musk said, I'm going to say what I want to say, and if I lose money, so be it. So, I don't care. So, and he lost about 75 million in advertising revenue. He's on track, let's say, by the end of the year to lose $75 million in advertising revenue because IBM pulled their ads, Apple pulled their ads, Disney pulled their ads, and other major companies that are considering pulling their ads. I don't know what it's going to take for them to, reach their conclusion about whether or not that is an anti-Semitic site or that is a site that promotes hatred. But Amazon and Coca-Cola and Microsoft are considering suspending their ads on this platform. It got so bad that Elon Musk decided that he would go to Israel and meet up with another extremist. Yes, another person who is largely responsible, believe it or not, for the amount of anti-Semitism we're seeing today in this country. Bibi Netanyahu. You know, the way that he is behaving over there, Bibi Netanyahu has always been a right-wing Likud party extremist. He has invited into his, cabinet, into his circle of friends, some of the most racist, extreme people in Israel. And he has included them in every decision that he has made to the point where they are actually going into the West Bank, these right-wing lunatics, and they are kicking people off of their land and kicking people out of their own homes and expecting that no one's going to notice. That's why the Israelis would never vote again for him. But this man saw an opportunity and he freaking took it. And people said to him on day one of, his retribution against Hamas, who did commit a terrorist attack upon people in southern Israel who are not like Bibi Netanyahu. These are some of the most liberal, some of the most progressive Israelis you would ever want to hang with, okay? These are people who believe in communal style living. These are people who their kids go to, they're farmers. They go to the commissary together. They eat communal dinners in the dining room together. All their kids go to school. It's just so far removed from a right-wing extremist viewpoint, the way that they live in southern Israel. But people who don't know jack crap about this place don't understand that there are different people that live in different areas and believe in different things in the same country. People don't even understand that Zionism isn't religious. Zionism is nationalism. That's what it is. Zionism has nothing to do with Judaism. Nothing at all. It's nationalism. It's just like, Trump has nothing to do with religion either, but he's a white supremacist, white nationalist. It's the same. Okay. So Elon has finally gotten to the point where he realizes the damage he's doing to himself. And he goes to Israel to tour the kibbutz, the progressive portion, with Benjamin Netanyahu, who I think the way that he has handled the response to this terrorist attack is causing anti-Semitism around the world because it's brutal, it's indiscriminate. He tells people to go to the South, that he bombs the South. You know what I'm saying? It's like it seems like there's no thought about who did what to whom and getting even with the people who did that thing. And it's creating so much hatred because, Jews apparently are all the same, and Israel is somehow a religious country where it's really a Zionist country, and Zionism is nationalism. Okay, just saying. So the two of them deserve each other. But I'm watching this little piece of tape here. I'll play for you.
Last night, some of them returned home. Not home yet, but returned to Israel. And, most of them were kidnapped from the houses over.
Okay, so they're showing Elon Musk the kibbutz where the terrorist attack happened. In the rain.
This is the house of Bill. On his way back, you noticed several terrorists that were right over here. It's a symbol in the kibbutz. You have kids inside, the mothers and the fathers run around with it, but it's holding shells.
Okay, so now they're showing Elon Musk a playpen in the kibbutz where the kids play together. And the playpen is full of bullets. And now they're showing him a burned house. Okay, and they're just touring. And I'm sitting there, and I'm wondering if Elon is thinking, ooh, look, anti-Semitism on my website, it actually works. Or if he's looking at it feeling sorry that he did that. But he's taking like multiple pictures. And I just could feel that he was going to take pictures of a burned out empty house and a burned out empty playpen full of bullets. And he was going to go now to Gaza and take pictures of bombed buildings.
Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
Comcast and Sony are some of the latest to say they're leaving X. They're joining a growing list of advertisers pulling money from the platform formerly known as Twitter. Apple, Warner Brothers, and CBS parent company Paramount are all fleeing after owner Elon Musk endorsed anti-Semitic conspiracy theories online. On Wednesday, Musk liked the post on X that claimed Jewish communities have a dialectical hatred against whites.
Oh, God.
You have said the actual truth, Musk responded. Now he's promising a, quote, thermonuclear lawsuit against the media watchdog Media Matters for reporting that X has been placing ads next to pro-Nazi content.
Jeez, and this stuff actually has a shelf life. It actually, does expand to other people's mind viruses, as he likes to call them. Because people are sending me like really disgusting emails, just so you know, telling me things like the people at the pro-Israeli rallies, swear to God, are all white people. The people at the pro-Israeli rallies are all white people. The people at the pro-Palestinian rallies are people of color. They're brown people. And so they've decided to throw in with the Palestinians because they think that Israelis hate people that aren't white. I don't even understand this because they're all from the Middle East. I mean, it's insane, but this is what a chaotic country actually starts out as. It starts out as otherizing all kinds of people, and we've always had that in our country. There's no way that America has ever shed all of the racist feelings and all of the racist diatribes and all of the racists in our country. We'll never get rid of every single one of them. But when you have an organization like TikTok or an organization like Twitter, I don't care what he calls it, it's Twitter. When you have an organization that is organizing hatred better than the Nazis ever could have or would have, then you have to know we're in trouble. Then you have to know that something really ugly is going on in this country. And I can already see that it has an effect. It's literally steering people to one side or another in a war that isn't even ours. It's amazing, and it's frightening, and it's dangerous. And because anti-Semitism is the oldest hatred in the world, it is. It's the oldest one. It's the most reliable one. I think that's why Elon has decided to throw in with that one. And it's really super dangerous Because when I was watching him walk with Netanyahu through this kibbutz where this incredible violence had occurred, this brutality, this raping of people and putting a baby in an oven. And people are actually arguing in this country about whether the baby was put in the oven or a baby was beheaded. Like one would be better than the other or one would be worse than the other. I mean, it's so incredibly sick what's going on here. The fights, the arguments that I'm watching are just so incredibly dumb and thoughtless and without any understanding of what they're talking about, that I can see that it's got a lot of possibility. Now, you match that with an election year, okay, with the world heavyweight champion racist candidate, the biggest, baddest racist we've ever had as a viable candidate because he is a past president. Oh, my God. The possibilities for the destruction of this country, for the death knell in democracy is so obvious. It's so evident. I mean, you can see it from here. You can actually see it from here. And it's freaking me out because normal people are being swept into this vortex of hatred. Normal people are standing in the eighth circle of hell and loving it. Just like with depraved abandon, screaming stupid crap about other people that they would never have ordinarily thought of or said. It's unbelievable what is going on. It's just like fringy, but yet it's something that I recognize as being, first they came for this group and I didn't say anything because I wasn't that group, and then they came for the workers. I didn't say anything because and then they came for this, and then they came for that. I mean, I've been showing you that poem that forever, knowing that it was just under the surface here in the United States, knowing that people were willing to lean into it just ever so slightly, and now all the way in. It's really quite something, I have to say. And we have a great president. We do. We have a really great president, a wise president, a tireless president. He worked constantly through the last, week or so to broker this ceasefire, to broker this pause, to broker this hostage exchange, and is working to extend it while he's shoving aid into Gaza to get people medicine, to get people food, to get people water, to get people relief. Normal, innocent people, bystanders, people who, through no fault of their own were born there and, have had to live under a terrorist organization forever. And they don't like him. They don't want him. They don't believe in him. They want to cast him as being addled in some way. Give credit where credit is due, for God's sake. My God. The man actually is trying to not only get the pause, which we got, and he told us that, the way that this was being fought by Netanyahu. Don't be stupid. I mean, the first thing that Biden did was he went to Israel. Why did he go there? He went there to tell Netanyahu, you want the support of America? You want my support? You want the support of the President of the United States? Here's what you're going to do. You're going to include the opposition party in your war cabinet because nobody trusts you. Nobody wants you here. Nobody believes you have what it takes to actually fight this in a way that isn't going to cause an anti-Semitic backlash around the world. Nobody trusts you to fight this in a way that's going to save, or spare the lives of children. Nobody thinks that, and he was like, and Netanyahu was like, okay, well, I'll put them in my war cabinet. But trust me, the only way we're ever going to get the hostages out is if we bomb them to smithereens. You have to bomb them to the brink of, off the face of the. And everybody said to him, don't do foolish things. You will waste the legitimate support that the world currently has for you and what just happened to you. And he did it anyway. So everybody from the Qataris to the United States to the Egyptians, are all on the same side. The U.S. and Egypt and the Qataris are all trying to talk sense into Netanyahu about his modern military taking on the enclave. And how he's got to stop all of this, the count of the civilian deaths is way too high. The world can comprehend that. See, you know what's interesting? You know how many people died so far in the Ukrainian aggression that Russia is actually involved in? Over 100,000. Over 100,000 people are dead in Ukraine. Can't process that.
Clear for takeoff. This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
Let's give credit where credit is due. President Biden and his team worked 24/7 with partners in the region to make sure that this release was possible and to set a framework through which we can see more hostages released. This is a president who is right now showing the American people what real leadership looks like. Hopefully, Hamas will accept the conditions that have been laid down that will allow for more hostages to be released. But if they don't, ultimately Hamas is going to be defeated. That's in Israel's interest, but it's also in the interest of the United States. We do not want terrorist organizations believing they can get away with the kind of murder that Hamas did on October 7th.
Right. So that is that's the conundrum, isn't it? So you had a terrorist attack where 2,000 plus terrorists went into Israel and killed 1,200 people, kidnapped 4-year-olds and 8-year-olds and 90-year-olds and 85-year-olds and put a baby in the oven. I mean, it's so and you cannot let a terrorist organization think that it can do things like that and there would be no punishment or no retaliatory, effort undertaken. I mean, that's just it's ridiculous. But we said, don't do what Bush did. Don't do it. Bush went and attacked 2 unarmed nations, okay, Afghanistan and Iraq, which did not have weapons of mass destruction, lied about it to the point where people started to distrust their own government so much that a real liar, a real con man, a real fraud could actually exploit that fact to his own advantage and become the president of the United States and maybe even do it twice. It's shocking. I mean, it's unbelievable. But that's why you don't lie. That's why you don't lie about things like war and peace. That's why Bush is the worst president ever. Okay. And yes, Donald Trump is a clown and he's a sideshow. Okay, that we allowed to be a one-term president and we should only ever talk about him in the past tense. But it is because Bush made you so distrustful of the intelligence agencies and we don't even know that they weren't telling him the truth, because I remember Richard Clark, who testified after 9/11 that everybody was running around with, quote, their hair on fire. Remember that? Everybody understood something was about to happen. And, it happened. And then after it happened, it was like, hey, let's go to war. Yeah, with who? These guys were Saudi. 15 of these 19 hijackers were from Saudi Arabia, and they were organized by a guy from Saudi Arabia named Osama bin Laden. That is, what happened here. So where are we going to attack Saudi Arabia? Oh, no. We're going to attack Afghanistan. What? Didn't the Russians nearly lose their entire economic ability to function after 9 years in this godforsaken place? Yes. And so you want to go there too now? Uh-huh. And then there's weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, and we have to go after Saddam. What? They had nothing to do with this. Well, we don't know. Yeah, we do know. No, we don't know. And then they went in there and they tortured people in Iraq, in prisons, in Abu Ghraib prison, tortured them. The pictures went public. And they created an entirely new terrorist organization called ISIS. And they're going to do it here too. It's going to happen here too. because the right-wing lunatic extremists that ever get near power do this. They do this. That's why Biden is so important, especially now, because he knows not to do this. Gary in Fort Lauderdale.
Hey, Randy.
Hey.
You know, sitting here listening to you talk about President Biden like this, you describe what a true pro-life person is. And I'm hopeful that somehow he can duplicate this in the Ukraine somehow. I don't know if you heard this, but this morning I heard a report that the president of China is going somewhere to talk about this Israel problem.
Oh, no.
You didn't hear that?
No.
Yeah, I heard it on NPR this morning early, like 5 in the morning when they first came on. And, you know, I'm hoping that China wants to promote peace there. And then maybe he and Biden, after this summit, or not summit, but this meeting that they just had, can then somehow do this in Ukraine with Russia.
Oh, it would be great. I mean, listen, you know, the escalation in Russia and Ukraine by Russia is really extraordinary. I mean, people don't even talk about it anymore, but there was 75 Iranian drones that were sent into Kiev, okay, the main city, Kiev, during this holiday period of time. And because we were able to get them some defense systems for their sky, right, they were able to strike.
Most of them were shot down, yeah.
Yeah, 74 of them were shot down. But, you know, if people still don't get that this is Iran and Russia against the United States and Israel.
Against the world?
Yeah, against the world.
The free world.
Then I don't know what's going to, you know, make them wake up. I really don't. I really don't know what is going to, you know, orient them.
The power that this right-wing media has over these MAGA people, they will change on a dime. They'll change from day to day. No matter what they hear, they believe it if it comes over Fox News or Newsmax or whatever else it might be.
Well, and you know, when you have a young generation getting their news off of TikTok and an older generation getting their news off of Facebook, you pretty much have a bunch of, you know, ignoramuses, you know, making voting decisions.
Just like in the movie the book 1984.
Yeah. Yeah. So everything goes down the memory hole, I guess, except for your and my friendship. Okay,
That's
good.
exactly right, Randy. And and people like us that care about others. You know, I told somebody today the difference was one of my Facebook friends. As a matter of fact, I have very few of them. And this is a guy who was a Black Panther at one time in his life. He lives in Boston. And we were talking about the difference between Republicans and Democrats today. And we both agreed that the difference is that Democrats care about everybody in the world, whereas Republicans, they're cheap, they're greedy, they're selfish, and they only care about themselves. It's so obvious.
Yeah, it is. And then, you know, because they are so failing in their humanity, because they are just so wanting, they you know, in their ability to have compassion or empathy, then they invoke the Bible as a substitute for their own humanitarian lack. You know what I mean?
They hide behind it.
Yes, they do, like a woman's skirt.
Remember when Trump hid behind it that day?
Yes.
He had it upside down.
Upside down. I know. It's beautiful.
Yeah, Randy, is he ever going to see the inside of a jail cell?
God, I hope so. I hope he dies there. I really do.
Do you remember maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I asked you this question? I said, would you be willing to pardon Trump if he would just vacate the office? And you had said no. You want to see him punished.
Right.
You know what? He's not getting punished.
I don't know,
All he's doing
Gary.
is getting tortured in court, but he's not getting punished.
I don't know. The trials haven't really started, have they? I mean, I got them on my little blackboard here. So January 6th is, the January 6th case is March 4th. Right. And then the Fulton County is October. The speedy trial was October 23rd, but then Cheeseburger and Sidney Powell flipped, right? So I need to update that. I don't even know when's the Fulton County trial supposed to be.
I don't know, but my point is the fact that we don't know makes it look so indefinite.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And he's just the master of delaying and obfuscating and like a rat getting out of a trap somehow, you know?
Yeah, I do. But that's why I'm saying, you know, like you can't give up just because he's, you know, slimy or slippery. You can't let go of justice because the person who needs to have justice visited upon him is a cagey, slimy, slippery liar. In fact, that's all the more reason why the man has got to be brought to the bar of justice. And you have to show the United States of America that nobody is above the law, or else somebody is. And that's the end of, you know, the law. That's the end of trusting it. That's the end of democracy. It really is. Because it's just an idea. And everything that we do in this country, everything that, you know, the court does, everything that, you know, judges do, everything that is all based on trust. And if you can't trust that anymore, we're done. We're cooked. It's over. You mix that up with a little bit of hatred, the oldest one in the world, by the way, and you got, you know, another Holocaust. You do. You have another, you know, massive, you know, killing.
Well, we don't want to end on that note, do we?
No.
No.
But we did.
Nice talking to you.
You too. Seriously, I'm telling you right now, you know, the idea that, well, that he has to die in a prison cell. Okay. I know that does seem intangible right now, but he cannot see the inside of the Oval Office ever again. I mean, that's just entry-level common sense, isn't it? That a man like that should never, ever have power ever again. He's an insurrectionist, for God's sake.